A lot of working dads look calm right before they feel themselves disappearing inside. They are not always exploding or breaking down, which is exactly why nobody notices. Pressure in fathers often wears a respectable face, then leaks out as distance, sarcasm, and silence. He gets praised for providing, while quietly wondering why providing never feels like enough. That tension is brutal because the role that earns approval can also erase him. And the strange part is, many dads do not even call this stress anymore. They call it being tired, being busy, needing a minute, being in a mood. But when pressure stays unnamed, it starts choosing the tone of the whole house. That is why a harmless question at dinner can feel like one demand too many. It is why bedtime stories can happen with love present, but emotional presence missing. And it is why some dads feel loneliest in the exact rooms they work for. The pressure is not just money, though money absolutely sits at the center. It is expectation stacked on expectation with almost no socially accepted place to unload. And one useful truth changes everything. Shutdown does not always mean disinterest. Sometimes it means overload. A dad can love his kids fiercely and still dread the sound of another need. He can miss them all day, then feel instantly overwhelmed when everyone wants him together. That contradiction creates shame because fathers are taught love should automatically produce endless capacity. But love and capacity are not the same system, especially after constant demand and constant noise. A nervous system can be devoted and depleted at the same time. Most dads were never really taught how to notice that line before crossing it. They learn to push through, stay useful, solve the problem, and keep moving. Children do not only need solutions, they need regulation, softness, and a face that feels safe. And when a father is running on fumes, softness is often the first thing lost. Not because he is cold, but because overloaded people become efficient before they become tender. That is one reason so many dads sound clipped when they actually feel cornered. They are answering 3 invisible questions before the child even finishes the first sentence. They are asking how much energy is left, what needs fixing, and what cannot fall apart. Then comes the work message during bedtime, and the body hears danger, not inconvenience. Because modern fatherhood rarely lets one identity rest while the other takes over. He is supposed to be present like a therapist and productive like nothing personal exists. He's told to open up more, but also stay solid, reliable, and unfazed. So he often shares only the parts of himself that still look functional. That is not dishonesty, it is adaptation in a culture that rewards composure. Some dads feel guilty for being absent, then guilty again when they finally arrive drained. They miss a school event for work, then overcompensate by expecting themselves to be perfect later. That perfect later never comes because life keeps handing over fresh noise and fresh urgency. Meanwhile, the kitchen resets into chaos, the laundry multiplies, and another form needs signing. A teenager answers with one word, disappears behind a phone, and suddenly rejection fills the room. It looks small, but for an exhausted dad, small moments land with huge emotional weight. Not because he is fragile, but because depletion makes ordinary friction feel deeply personal. That is why many dads start narrating their family through failure without realizing it. They notice the bills, the tension, the screen battles, the missed patience, and call themselves the problem. But pressure lies by making every overwhelmed reaction feel like a character flaw. Often, it is not a broken character at all, it is an overloaded system. There is another quiet layer fathers rarely say aloud because it feels selfish even mentioning. Sometimes they are grieving the version of themselves that existed before everyone needed something. He was the man who could think one complete thought, finish a chore, or sit still. He was the man not always dividing attention between work, worry, and emotional weather. Losing that version of yourself can create sadness, even inside a life you deeply wanted. Hidden sadness usually does not disappear, it changes shape and comes back as irritability. Or numbness, which scares dads because numbness feels dangerously close to not caring. But numb is often what people feel when caring has run beyond available energy. That matters because shame tells fathers to hide more precisely when support is needed. The less they say, the more isolated they feel, and isolation distorts everything. A dad can sit on the couch beside his family and still feel unreachable. He hears laughter, dishes, notifications, someone asking for help, and his brain stays elsewhere. Part of him is replaying work, part is tracking money, part is bracing tomorrow. Anything that becomes normal stops getting questioned, even when it is quietly hurting everyone. And children are remarkably sensitive to tension that adults think they are hiding well. Kids do not need a speech to feel when dad is physically present, emotionally absent. Teens definitely feel it, though they often translate it as judgment or disinterest. So the phone becomes easier, the bedroom gets quieter, and real conversation gets postponed. Then dad feels shut out, which adds hurt to the exhaustion already there. Now the pressure is no longer just internal, it starts shaping family patterns. This is how burnout can look ordinary from the outside and heavy underneath. He still goes to work, replies politely, cooks sometimes, and pays the bills. But inside, everything feels one request away from collapse, and nobody can quite see it. One reason dads struggle to name this is that many only feel emotions physically. They do not say overwhelmed, they say headaches, tight shoulders, stomach knots, bad sleep. They do not say grief, they say I just need to get out. They do not say fear, they say I cannot switch my brain off. That translation gap matters because you cannot care for pressure you cannot recognize. So if you're a dad hearing this, start smaller than honesty usually asks. Do not force some perfect emotional confession after years of staying useful and composed. Just notice your signals before your story explains them away and shrugs again. Maybe you're not bad-tempered tonight. Maybe your body has stopped negotiating gracefully. Maybe you do not need tougher discipline. Maybe you need lower overall load. Maybe that heavy silence after dinner is not distance, but recovery time. That reframe is not an excuse for disconnection. It is a doorway to responsibility. Because once pressure is named accurately, a father can respond earlier and with less damage. Sometimes the most loving thing a dad can say is not motivational or wise. It is this: I am overloaded, and I need 10 minutes before I answer well. That sentence can protect a child from sharpness, and protect a father from shame. Kids learn something important there. Adults can have limits without becoming unsafe. That matters for sons watching masculinity and daughters watching whether men can stay human. Many dads think good fathering means absorbing pressure so completely nobody ever feels it. But invisible pressure does not vanish. It usually leaks through tone, timing, and absence. Children would rather live with honest limits than with mysterious tension everywhere. And partners would rather hear the truth than keep guessing at mood changes. Silence often looks strong from the outside, but inside a family it confuses everybody. There is also the father who feels pressure because he genuinely wants to do more. He wants deeper talks, more patience, less scrolling, more laughter, better mornings, slower evenings. But wanting more while living stretched thin creates a private ache few people see. He starts measuring himself against fathers who seem endlessly present, playful, and emotionally available. Online, every other dad seems to be hiking, grilling, building memories, and staying calm. Nobody posts the car ride home where they sit in silence before facing everyone. Nobody posts the guilt after snapping over crumbs, noise, or one more repeated question. So comparison makes already tired fathers feel uniquely deficient when they are actually widely overloaded. That is why perspective matters. Your struggle may be personal, but it is not solitary. There is one more pressure many working dads never say, because it sounds disloyal. Sometimes family life feels like constant interruption, even though family is what matters most. That does not mean he loves them less, it means he never fully lands anywhere. He is interrupted at work by home worries, then interrupted at home by work residue. The brain stays half braced, half available, which is an exhausting way to live. And when people live half braced long enough, joy starts feeling strangely hard to access. not impossible, just harder, because delight needs space and pressure fills every corner. This is why some dads feel guilty during good moments they should be enjoying. A child is laughing, a partner is talking, and his mind is somewhere expensive. He cannot fully drop in, then feels ashamed for missing something beautiful while present. That shame steals the next moment too, and the cycle keeps feeding itself. So one quiet practice matters more than people think. Arrive before you perform. Before walking in, give your body 60 honest seconds to change worlds deliberately. No fixing, no scrolling, no rehearsing tomorrow, just 1 minute of actual arrival. It sounds small, but families often feel the difference between a body entering and a person arriving. Another helpful shift is separating guilt from guidance, because they are not the same. Guilt says you are failing as a father even when context clearly matters. Guidance says something is off here, and adjustment is probably needed soon. One voice attacks identity, while the other supports repair without humiliation, gently. Fathers who learn that difference recover faster after hard moments and stay closer emotionally. Repair matters more than perfection, and kids remember repair longer than dads expect. A sincere return after snapping teaches safety better than a week of silent guilt. And sometimes the pressure lifts a little when fathers stop parenting like managers. Under stress, dads often become task-based because tasks feel safer than feelings. You can finish a lunchbox, answer an email, pay a bill, and clear a sink. You cannot finish a child's loneliness or solve a teenager's identity in one night. That helplessness makes many dads retreat into practical jobs where success still exists. But often the child needed 5 grounded minutes more than one more solution. Not a lecture, not a fix, just a nervous system that stays with them. If you are a working dad carrying all this quietly, none of it makes you weak. It means you are living inside demands that would strain almost any human being. The answer is not becoming superhuman, and it definitely is not disappearing deeper into silence. The answer starts with naming pressure before pressure starts naming who you are. It starts with smaller honesty, earlier pauses, cleaner repair, and less private shame. It starts with understanding that irritability, numbness, and distance usually have a story underneath. And once that story is visible, a dad can stop treating symptoms like identity. He can ask better questions, take better pauses, and come back with more intention. That awareness changes homes, because children relax when adults stop pretending pressure is nothing. Partners soften too, because guessing gets replaced by truth, and truth is easier to meet. Even one honest sentence can lower the emotional temperature of an entire evening. So tonight, maybe the win is not being impressive, but being real sooner. Maybe the bravest thing is saying, "I love you, and I am stretched." Maybe the strongest fathers are not the quietest ones, but the most honest. If this felt uncomfortably familiar, tell me which pressure hits hardest and stays unnamed. And if you want more honest conversations about parenting overload, stay with this channel. There is a lot more underneath family stress, and we are going there next.